Hey everyone, welcome to another speed build video in The Sims 4. My name is Simon and today I'm going to build a modern mansion that is built on a rock formation and a waterfall. I did not have a specific reference for this build, but I did have like a vision or an image in my head where I wanted to go of these boxes that are stacked on each other and they kind of mimic the slope of the hill or the rocks, and they form this bridge over that waterfall. So that's really the only thing I really had in mind. And then I just started building and came up with everything, the layout, the building, along the way. So no real planning ahead or anything. Not the way an architect would do it, but to me personally, this is the best way to build in the game. When you're planning ahead, you often forget like certain weird behavior of the game that doesn't allow you to do some things, and like when placing stairs, for instance, like sometimes it just doesn't work out the way you had it in mind, and then you have to, adapt it or redo it anyway. So I just start building and go along. And the downside of this, however, is that if you're filming this, you're having a lot of video footage. For this one, I had like 7 hours of video footage, and obviously the time is reduced after you speed it up. I sped this up by 6, so this would be well, a little over an hour of video footage, but I still had to edit this down to like 20 to 30 minute video, and obviously all the trial and error just lands on the cutting room floor. So you just see me like build this in a breeze and nothing goes wrong, and that's really not it. I struggled a lot with the structure of the house and how it was like situated on the rock formation, and also how these individual boxes or units of the house would be connected with each other. But if I kept this all in, this would be a 60-minute video, and personally I wouldn't have the patience to watch through a 60-minute building video. I know there are people out there like that, but I want to make this a little bit more accessible, so I edited a lot of the trial and error aspect of the building process out of the video, but I still think you get the gist of what I did at the various stages of the building process here. So right now, this is the top floor of the building. This will later have a bedroom and a bathroom, so a master bedroom and master bathroom, as well as this patio section right here. I will incorporate many plants in this build to kind of go with the living in nature vibe, or like a mansion in nature in the woods. For instance, the roof will be covered with grass, and obviously the pond and the waterfall area will be full of lush plants to kind of blend it in with its environment. Yeah, and I also used a lot of wood throughout the build, like also in the exterior. So I covered most of the wallpaper paneling with the eco lifestyle wooden beams wall decorations to give it a little bit more texture. I like to add texture so a build doesn't look so flat, and these wooden beams work perfectly here. I use them all the time, and here they matched with this modern but at the same time organic look of the villa, so they work perfectly here. For the rocks here, for this rock formation that I started building here, I used some debug rocks that came with cottage living, and at first I did this entire section with get together rocks that also are visible in the surrounding environment. And while this would have maybe tied it in a little bit better, I do like the texture of the cottage living ones a lot better. The ones from Get Together, they're very rough and have like, you see all the bumps and kind of like edges sticking out of it. And while this is kind of cool, it works in some instances, I felt like here, because I'm building like a stacked rock structure, that something smoother would make the individual rocks blend together more nicely so that it doesn't look like individual pieces, but maybe like a real rock formation. And I'm only talking about this so much, like why did I use cottage living here? Because I did want to put a pack restriction on me for this, and like cottage living is not really a pack that you would need for a modern house, but in this instance I did use this debug object that came with cottage living, even though this is not a cottage at all. I tried to stick to the pack restrictions further down the line in the building process, to make it more accessible. So I always figure like there's no need to include like 15 packs in a build, and it would make it a lot harder for a larger amount of people to play with this or use this in their game. So I think I kept it at about 10, which is still a lot, but I tried. I could have used more, but I didn't. So I'm probably in a minority here, but I really enjoy landscaping. And you know, with the pond tool now, it has only become a lot more interesting, but I understand that it is frustrating to some, especially when it comes to the terrain tool and working with different heights, because the plants and the rocks, if you place them on a slope and on an area that you worked on with the terrain tool, they don't really sit right on that slope or that hill that you build. They just float a little bit above it, and it just doesn't look realistic or pretty at all. As a workaround for that, I use tool mod, and not really in a crazy way or anything. I just have it open in build mode, and then I click that object that I want to place on a hill and just, you know, click again on the area where I want it to, and it just magically moves it there. But not the way the game would do it, but rather like move it a little bit in that terrain so that it actually looks like it's sitting on it. And that's what you have just seen me do there all the time when the object turns green, and then I just click on the area, and it goes a little bit into that slope, and it looks just a lot more realistic. And it's not really magic or anything. You don't need much like expertise with the mod. Like for instance, what I'm doing here, this is a little bit more complex, creating the waterfall with T.O.O.L. But you know, just for the landscaping, it's super easy. It's just 2 clicks, and then it just looks a lot better, and it really makes the difference. So and what I'm doing here is creating the waterfall, and it's not a new technique. I've seen this being done like 2-3 years down the road. I think even before T.O.O.L was a thing, then people would just like hide it with I don't know, with rocks, plants, whatever. But now we can actually like move the objects below ground, so the sprinklers that are used for that, move them in the ground so they are not visible anymore, and it too looks a lot more realistic than it would without T.O.O.L. So T.O.O.L is really, if you're into building, T.O.O.L is really your friend. You should really get a hang of it. It's not just like about creating these giant and extravagant formations or objects and buildings, but rather about precision and like placing objects perfectly in the right spot, whether it's like a little bit higher, a little bit lower, a little bit more into the ground, sizing it up ever so slightly so everything just matches better and just looks overall polished. And that's really what I use it the most for. Not for building crazy things, but just for making things look good, polished, and realistic. But of course you can go a little crazy, and that's what I'm doing here by building my own custom door, so to speak, custom sliding door, by, you know, using an archway, sizing it down, and you know, moving the window a little bit to the side so that it looks like the sliding door is open and Sims can really use it and walk through it. And I did that because there are no matching doors for the windows in the game that really look seamless. There is that one from Eco Lifestyle that kind of has this like metal door, but it looks so industrial and is so specific, and it doesn't really fit with the high-end look that I wanted to achieve with this build. So I really couldn't use it here. And to create the ultimate seamless look I then decided to use the window as a door and just have Sims walk through it. So again, I know some people probably wouldn't like to have like an open sliding door at all times, but it is also usable when you place the window back into its original slot. It's only that the Sims then walk through the window and it doesn't obviously move. If you don't like either of those options, you can just put in the industrial door that I spoke of into that position, and it will be fine. It's just like, I like a seamless look, and especially for like a high-end build like this. And it's always frustrating with the Sims game that apparently the developers aren't really concerned with like seamless or matching objects, and just do whatever they like, it seems. But yeah, at least that way I could, you know, fake something seamless, something matching, and I'm very happy with it. And if you don't like it, you can download this house anyway and change it to whatever you want it to be. Okay, we're in the interior already. So this is an office area, and I wanted to start the build or the house off with like a more, well, public space, so to speak. You know, an area where the people living in the house could invite, you know, potential clients or business partners or whomever over, and they wouldn't have to enter like the private area of the house. So the first floor, like right after the entry area, there's like this little guest bathroom, and then there's like a waiting area, and then it goes into this office right here. And I thought this was a very realistic way to start off the layout of this modern mansion. Obviously, the people living here have a lot of money, and their life might be very work and business oriented, so they would probably have like a larger area of their house dedicated to business and, well, their professional life. So yeah, that's what I wanted to achieve with that. And also, when you go up the stairs, you're not directly in the private area of the home. So there first is this piano room, and then you walk through a transitional room that is just like, has just like plants and like a sitting area there, and then you're in the private area of the house. So there are various stages that you'd have to go through to really be in the private section of this house. And while I didn't check for any actual real life layouts of modern mansions or houses of this kind, I felt like this was a very realistic way of designing the layout for the house. Okay, so this is a custom door I built from the Island Living glass floor tile. Again, I wasn't happy with the doors that the game offered. Prior to this, I used the spa day, like a spa day door, and the quote-unquote matching windows for it, and I really didn't like how they went together. There wasn't like a swatch that really was seamless again, or matching in any way. So I built my own version of a seamless door again, and this is again a little bit more tricky thing to do with T.O.O.L, and it glitched my game out a lot, and was like stopping for a couple of seconds, and I was very afraid it would crash, but it didn't. And if you just download it and you don't do it yourself, you won't have any problems. It's just like in the building process. My computer struggled a little bit, but it did not crash, luckily. Okay, this is the kitchen. The kitchen turned out a little bit smaller than it would probably be in a mansion like this, but I really wanted to have like this gallery section down there that you could look through to the floor below, and that obviously ate up a lot of space that I could have used for more kitchen counters and kitchen appliances. But I think I used this space very well. It looks very high-end, very glamorous and chic and minimalistic. And I actually really wanted to include the espresso machine, but since you need the coffee grinder as well for it to be functional, there really wasn't any space in this kitchen. And well, it's only good old filtered coffee in this glamorous kitchen. For the dining table, I built a custom table decor from like debug twigs and some rocks that came with spa day. I've never done like this before, and it turned out pretty nicely as well. So I'm very happy with this open area here of the kitchen dining room. And then there's also the staircase that I'm building here. And for the staircases, I basically used the same method or technique, however you want to call it, on all the floors. So I basically did like an L shape with a platform in the middle, and then I put some platforms around it and added some jungle plants. And I did that for all those staircases in the house so they would look cohesive. This is the transitional room I was talking about, so the last stage before you get to the private section of the house. It's just a sitting room, and with this decorative plant sculpture. I've never used that before. It comes with City Living, really first time that I ever used this. I've probably seen it before, but I've never used it. Yeah, this is one of the 3 bedrooms, and the bedrooms are all very similar in style. I try to, change it up a bit. Here I turned around the wall planter from Eco Lifestyle to have that concrete surface as like a decorative element. And I used some custom gallery art, well, or NoCC art from the gallery. I will give you the name here. Yeah, as you can see, the sinks that I'm using throughout are functional, so I play tested them. Actually, everything is functional. I play tested it later on. Yeah, bathrooms, again, they all look a little bit similar, and I try to make them realistic in the sense that, privacy is still a thing. Like, I try to block the view. If there's like a giant window, then I put something in front of it, so your Sims wouldn't be seen while they're taking a shower or taking a bath. And while this really doesn't matter in the game, I know that a lot of Simmers are very concerned about that and like to leave angry comments about these things if they're not realistic. So there you go, you're welcome. This is the master bedroom, and it has like this custom drawer closet. I used these wall dividers from Spa Day as, again, fake sliding doors. They kind of look like sliding doors, but they're really just decorative, as is this closet in general, because Sims don't need closets. They can just change their outfit on the spot. Like, how great is that? How great would that be to have in real life and not need all that closet space? While the master bedroom patio here is very basic, I didn't do anything wild here. Just a little decorative elements, some plants. And then there's also a bathroom. I cut out a little bit of the building here. It's, again, all the same. I use the same sinks, they're functional. And yeah, it's a concrete bathroom with a little bit of wood accents. Not much different from the other one that you've seen before. But this part now gets more interesting. This house actually has its own private spa area. And this is like in the, well, what is it? The west wing of the building, I guess. So it's basically at the back of the lot. And you reach it when you go down the stairs in the kitchen area. But anyway, this starts off with the gym area where I used all the gym equipment that came with Spa Day. I thought it had the most like luxurious look to it. And one story down there is a sauna, and there is recreational room as well as some showers. So I thought it was, because this section of the building was so far off from everything else, and it was like, I didn't want like another or a second like door that goes outside. So no back door really, and that's why I wanted it to be closed off in the back. And what do you do with something that's so far off from everything and closed off? And yeah, why not make it like this private spa area? And I rarely use the sauna, so it was really nice to do that for a change. I can't even recall when I used it the last time, but it's such a fun item. So yeah, and it made perfectly sense in this like mansion, because these people have so much money, they don't even know what to do with it, so they have like their own private spa in the back. On top of this area there, I built this kind of yoga spot, and in the back there's a meditation area to kind of round off the spa feel, and yeah, use the yoga equipment as well, which is one of my favorite things in the game. And I think the yoga skill is such a fun skill, one of my favorites really. And of course I have to include it here, and I thought like that was the perfect spot for it. It's outside, but it is secluded, and the pine trees give privacy, and it's really the perfect spot to do yoga. I would just love to do yoga there. It just looks perfect. Same for meditation, but I don't meditate, so I can't really speak for that, but it just looks really nice for that. Also, these yoga blocks that you just saw me build there, that's actually an idea I got from Koki Creative. She built something on Instagram like earlier this year. It was a yoga studio, and she did that as like some decor item, these yoga blocks, and I thought it was just so clever. And whenever I build a yoga spot, like a yoga room in anything, I include these yoga blocks now. I just thought this is such a brilliant idea, and yeah, Koki Creative came up with that. And here we are in the entertainment room, TV room, living room, however you want to call it. I used the Moschino sofa here and built my own kind of sectional or modular sofa here because I didn't want to use the Dream Home Decorator one again. I think I used this a couple of times in the build and it was enough. I needed something else, and the color looked pretty nice here. This like, is it seafoam green or like a turquoise? I don't know. It just looked very nice here. There's also a bar here because why not? A mansion probably has a bar too, so makes sense. And what also made sense to include here was the jacuzzi or the hot tub, and I couldn't bring myself to use the base game hot tub that came with the 20-year anniversary update because it's just so ugly. And so I had to use the one from Perfect Patio here. It is the only item I use from that pack, so you really don't need it to when you download this the house and you don't have Perfect Patio. This would be the only item that would disappear, so it's really not essential. And yeah, I think this is like the last bedroom and adjacent bathroom here. So yeah, we're coming to an end. This was a rather big build. I usually do like smaller ones, but for a change it was really nice, and kind of use items and create rooms that I normally wouldn't do, like the large office area, like a piano room and a spa, and basically a lot of empty space like a waiting room and a lot of plants and yeah, decorations. But yeah, I really like how this build turned out, and I hope you did too. Tell me in the comments below. Please like and subscribe if you did. Find the mention on the gallery. My ID there is Taffissimo, just as the name of this channel. For additional content, you can follow me on Instagram. My name there is Taffissimo_builds. I'm hosting a challenge there at the moment where you can win either a game pack or a kit. So check that out with the hashtag Taffissimo7k, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!